Really? Well, you're on top of it. I'm sure not. Boy, oh boy, I'm way behind. Um, and then I went more further behind yesterday when you said that not only do we have to play the harmonization
With
in
transpose.
in the transposition, but we have to play it in the regular one too. So that put me even further behind. Although I have to practice the regular one to be able to do the transpose, so I guess it's not
All right. So yesterday we
that.
went
Oh,
over.
I know. I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I run for an hour a day, so I can think up lots of questions. Uh, so um, when you go to the minor key, and because you kept telling me that the piece plays differently in minor than it does in major. So when you play it in the minor key, are you transposing to the minor key
It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about the waltz?
on anything? If you're gonna play something in the minor key instead of the major,
Well, sure. If I take Happy Birthday and transpose it to minor,
okay. See, that's what I thought. So actually, if you transpose to minor, then you're playing three half steps down, be a
well,
little lower.
you can think of it that way. You can think of it that way if you transpose it to the relative minor, which is three half steps down.
Right.
But you could also just lower your third. Uh,
And your sixth and seventh to taste.
yeah, you could lower your third, sixth, and seventh, and do it in the parallel minor key from the parallel major.
But if you did it in the parallel major, it would not did in the oh yeah, okay. Then but that would be the minor major though,
Right.
right? That wouldn't be the major. You'd be in the minor major, which
You'd be in
be,
the parallel minor versus the relative minor.
yeah. So
Yeah.
but you'd still be the song itself would come out three three half steps lower
Well, not if I
when you
do it in
play it.
parallel. If I do it in parallel, it comes out no half steps lower, except for the scale degree 3, scale degree 6, scale degree 7.
Oh yeah, okay. Now I see what you're saying. So if you did it in parallel, you'd be right. Okay, yeah, it wouldn't come out lower if you did it in parallel,
Right.
right? If you did it in the parallel major,
Yeah.
because then you'd be on C instead of A. Okay. But then when you do the chords, then it would be like totally different because the chords from A would be different than the chords from C.
Correct.
Even though normally, like if you're playing A minor, it plays like C major. But if
Yeah.
you play the chords of A minor, they will be different than if you played the chords in C.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's all about context.
Okay.
So if we did, what page is For He's a Jolly Good Fellow on? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Welcome, Jesus. For He's a Jolly Good Fellow is on page 237. So if we went from
237.
yeah, if we went from E flat major to E flat minor, that would be a parallel minor. it sounds totally different, doesn't it? But what is going to be the same? This is the point I want to make. One of your chords will stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice which one stayed the same?
No.
Your 5 chord stays major. If we raise our leading tone, scale degree 7, just sounds wrong if we make it minor.
And the other question that I had was that when you're playing these two hands, it seemed to me, and you can correct my misconception, it seemed to me that sometimes people are playing like harmonization with chords on the left hand, but sometimes they're just playing an associated melody with the left hand. Is that right, or are they always some kind of chords on the left hand?
Well, like you could do a different accompaniment pattern, like in a birdie bass. Is that what you're talking?
No, I'm just saying, well, for example, if we're on 210, we're looking at those minor chords. If you go to the next page on 211,
Okay.
it doesn't identify any chords. It just has it. But really, those left hands, those are chords, aren't they? Because they're just kind of matching pattern chords with the right hand.
Yeah.
And the right hand too, actually.
Pardon?
Yeah,
And the right hand too. They're both just playing broken chords.
They're both.
Let's take this example, Edison.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to split it into 2. I'm going to draw a line right down the middle for every one of these.
Right.
And I'm going to block them. Now I want you to watch my classroom maestro. They're just chords.
Uh-oh. Our computer just went haywire.
Uh-oh.
We can't see anything.
Okay, well, they're just chords
Okay.
in different inversions.
I don't know what to do.
If you look at your book, ECA is just a minor.
Well, yeah, I can see that that's a chord because, it's every third one, so it's got to be some kind of a chord.
Right.
So that one wasn't maybe as good of an idea. Well, what about that etude that I learned? I forget what page that was on.
Do you know who it was by?
Pardon?
Do you know who the composer was?
I just remember that it wasn't etude. I played you played it for us one day here too. It was the piece it was from one of the pieces we had last semester.
Was it the Gurley?
That's way over there. I know, but it's not.
Here,
Is that it?
80.
Oh, on page 80.
Okay. That one.
Yeah. So that one, are those on the left hand, are those chords? To me, they were just like doing repetition of the melody a little bit, in a lower octave.
Yeah, so it depends on how you're analyzing the notes and how long you're taking them into account. So if we look at measure 1, we have an A, a C, and an E, which is a minor chord. And then you get the same thing in the left hand. But it's a matter of, are we looking vertically or are we looking horizontally, and how long are we looking each way? Does that make sense, Edison?
Well, I guess my question was getting to the point that, like on 210, we are learning some chords.
Correct. And
Okay.
they're vertical.
And the way those chords actually work out is, now if I actually saw in someone's script or in someone's score, they actually placed, instead of putting the dots in there, instead of putting putting the dots in there, if they actually just put the are you there?
Yep.
Okay, because our screen is doing all kinds of. All right.
Launch. Okay, now we reach on, but it's
But it's still blinking. But what was it? Where was my thought going?
You were talking about dots, and I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
Well, dots and represent that notes, half notes, quarter notes, all that kind of stuff. Those are the dots. But if they didn't put the notes in there, if they just put like wait a minute, that wasn't right. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That's why it's not looking right. Yeah. Okay. So they just put 4,
Where is your glass?
6, 4.
Right.
If they put 4, 6, 4, since I know how to play 4, 6, 4 in any key, then I wouldn't need the score there.
That's true, and that's what they used to do back in the day. It was called figured bass. So back in the Baroque, you would just get the figured bass line. You'd get the Roman numerals, and you would have to figure it out. However, if you look at my screen right now, which I don't know if you can see or not.
Yeah, it's blinking, but I can see it.
I have a 4/6/4.
Wait a minute. Where? Oh, okay.
But watch how my 4/6/4 is going to change. So I can spell 4/6/4 a bunch of different ways.
Oh, okay. You can play it in different ways.
So they would probably need to specify, play it in closed position for you to get what you're trying to get.
Yeah, but that would not help me. Well, maybe it would. I don't know. But right now, I'm just trying to figure the usefulness of why we're studying this chord progression. And it seemed to me one utility would be that if I just saw the 4/6/4, if I have that pattern jumping from the tonic, then I could just play it, because I could go to the tonic and then move my fingers and play that chord.
Right.
But I don't know if that's a utility that's ever.
So it's helpful that you could use it as a shortcut, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee the voicing that is wanted.
Okay, so that's good to know. So we're not really doing it for that purpose. We're just doing it for some kind of practice.
Yeah, and once you get into theory, it'll make more sense too, because you'll start analyzing things with Roman numerals like this.
Well, yeah, I can figure it out. I went through and did the, figured it out.
Yeah.
Just to prove to myself that the pattern worked.
Right.
So I figured out the 4/6/4 for a number of other tonics.
Good. Yeah.
And then did the pattern and discovered, yes, they do. They're going to match up consistently.
Right. So how are we doing in preparing for the midterm exam? There are 6 things on our midterm exam. So we have our piece, which has to be memorized. We have scales. We have arpeggios. We have harmonization / transposition. We have chord progressions. And we have sight reading. Which one of those 6 do you feel least prepared on?
Harmonization, chord progression. And
I would like.
I'm hoping that as I do harmonization, that will improve my sight reading.
We need to do more sight reading in the breakout rooms. Maybe tomorrow or Monday.
Sounds great, actually. I've been wanting to get some practice with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we all done breakout rooms before?
A couple
Yeah,
of times.
We did it here.
Okay. So it takes a little bit longer than I'm used to in the piano lab. I just hit a button and I can hear your piano, but I have to leave a room and then join a room and wait for Zoom to catch up. So it's not as fast as I'd like, and we won't get a lot done, but as much done as we could in the piano lab, but it still functions. So let's plan on doing that tomorrow. Will that work? Are you back tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So you all can get in a breakout room. I'll assign you your sight reading, and we can go from there. There are 6 examples that we want you to be able to do for the badge. How
6
are you doing?
examples of what?
Of sight reading.
Sight reading?
Mm-hmm.
There's a sight reading badge, and we're going to do 6 examples. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we were just like doing one sight reading with you for the test.
You will for the midterm exam, but for the pass-offs, for the badges, there's 6 examples in order for you to get the badge.
Whoa. Well, how are we going to do that?
In breakout rooms.
That's going to be breakout rooms. So even though it's not testing, it's kind of like a test.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It's how I have to do pass-off sheets now.
Right.
Looking at the badges, looking at the leaderboard here, it looks like the lenient heron is in first place with 2 badges. The dashing grasshopper is in second, tied with the zany rabbit. We're waiting on the hydraulic chinchilla, the zealous catfish, and the influential tiger to get on the board. Am I behind?
I haven't checked mine yet, but did you find some problems with my group 3? This new one that I sent you?
Did you redo it?
I redid it, and I thought I submitted it the other day.
Let me look. Let me make sure.
I didn't do my redo.
Oh, I have not looked at your redo. I see that.
Okay.
I see that it is here, though.
Okay.
I will check that.
No problem.
Good. I think that's the only thing that I have to grade. Is this true?
Okay. And even though I actually next half the semester, we don't get any badges for that yet. Huh?
We will have badges for the second half of the semester.
But not until the second half of the semester.
Right. You need to focus on getting your first half badges, though.
Well, I submitted that one because I just knew how to do it. I practiced it all summer, right?
Don't put the cart before the horse. I think that's how it goes.
Well, I like do what you can do.
All right.
I'm ready to.
Yeah, I think class is over.
Do you guys have to take off?
Yeah, we have to check out of the hotel room.
All right. Well, I'll see you 2 tomorrow then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Glad to see you back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alf, geez, I'm not good at names.
Benjamin.
Benjamin, right? We missed you.
Yes. Oh, well, it's good to know I'm being missed.
All right.
Bye.
How do you?
Okay. What questions do you guys have, Ben, Christian, and Jesus? Or are there certain things you'd like me to go over?
I don't know. I feel real. I don't feel lost with anything in particular. I'm just kind of going through the class as we go through it, right?
Uh-huh.
Haven't had any particular problems or points where I get stuck. So, I don't know. If anybody else has any questions, those can be brought up.
Yeah, go ahead, Christian and Jesus.
So the only thing I'm like kind of having, I know we talked about it before, but I'm kind of having trouble with the chord progression stuff. Like I know how to do it, but I just like for the other like notes, I don't know.
Which one? Both of them?
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry.
Which one? I'm happy to go over either or both. Which chord progression are you talking about?
The one
210 or 242 or both?
242.
242. Okay. Let's look at that. Man, what would it be like to be retired and be able to go golfing over at Pismo Beach?
Probably cool for the first few years, and then it'd get boring. You wouldn't end up doing anything. Happened with Ghibli. He retired from it's Ghibli, the animator guy. He retired, and then he went out of retirement because he got bored and said he wanted to start doing things again.
Nice. Okay, Christian, we're looking at example 2.1 on page 242. Let me put my Classroom Maestro in chord progression mode. Let me get back in major. Okay, do you have a specific question or you just want another review of it?
Just like another review.
Okay, so I like to separate the two hands out. So I'm going to start with my left hand. My left hand goes up a perfect fourth, up a whole step, stays the same, and then goes down a perfect fifth. And it doesn't matter what key I'm in, that's always going to be the pattern. And so
I understand that part. I just meant like the top one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I want to reiterate right here, because you've been doing ear training, as has Jesus. You can think do, fa, sol, sol, back to do. I don't know if that will help you, but I just wanted to make mention of it to try to reintegrate what we're learning in our ear training class. Okay. Now, the best way I think to learn chord progressions is to figure out how far I'm moving in which voice. So my soprano is do, re, do, ti, do. And you can think of it in solfege, but that's really hard to think multiple solfege parts when you've got 4 parts going on. So I like to think top voice goes up a whole step. Top voice goes down a whole step. Top voice goes down a half step. Top voice goes up a half step. Okay. Middle voice goes up a whole step. Middle voice goes down a whole step. And then it stays the same. bottom voice moves up a half step, moves down a half step, moves up a half step, moves down a half step. So it's always moving by half steps.
Yeah, that stuff we learned about voice leading in theory has helped me quite a bit with composition.
Good.
It's really helped me put chords down on a paper and then write melodies on the paper. And this is just a lot of that similar kind of voice leading idea.
Sure. You've
There's
already taken Finale, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I do all my composition in Pro Tools, but then I port it over and make sheet music with it. So.
Do you export a MIDI file when you do that?
Yeah. And then I have to kind of rework things. It's a bit of a pain in the neck. I might just get sub-Ls at this point.
I don't know that Sibelius will be much easier, but you could try.
Well, they both have it. They apparently has built-in Pro Tools support. So.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Okay, Christian. So my top goes up a whole, my middle goes up a whole, my bottom goes up a half, my bass moves up a fourth. And I go back to where I came from, except for the bass goes up a whole step. My middle note in the right hand stays the same, and my other scissor kick in a half step. And I go back, but my bottom goes down a fifth. I don't know if you could hear me or if that was helpful. Let's try it again. All right, my bass is going to go up a fourth. My bottom voice in the right hand is going to go up a half step. Middle is going to go up a whole step. Top's going to go up a whole step. And my right hand's going to just go back to where I was. My bass in the left hand's going to go up a whole step. My bass is going to stay the same. My middle note in the right hand's going to stay the same. My other two notes are going to scissor kick in a half step. And then I'm going to go back to where I was, and my bass is going to go down a perfect fifth. Does that help?
Yeah.
Let's try it in the key of A. Whoa. Come back to me. All right. My bottom voice is going to go up a fourth. Sorry, my bass is going to go up a fourth. My bottom voice in my right hand is going to go up a half step, and the other two are going to go up a whole step. My left hand is going to go up a whole step. I'm going to move right back to where I was, my opening chord. Left hand's going to stay the same. Middle note's going to stay the same. Other two are going to scissor kick in. And back to the chord I started with. Do, fa, sol, sol, do in the left hand. So we got whole step, half step, half step. And our tenor is just half steps all the time. And our middle voice, whole step, same note, same note. So that's kind of the pattern. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Jesus, do you have any questions? Anything you want me to go over?
Yeah, so regarding this, basically, this progression goes on for every scale?
Yeah, you can do this chord progression in any key, any major key.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then the other chord progression is also for any key as well?
Yeah. Shall we look at that one?
Yeah, please.
Can I clear my screen? All right, the other chord progression is in minor. It's on page 210, 8-27. It's just like the chord progression we did in Piano 1 on page 170, except for we're in minor. So our bottom notes stay the same. We eventually go down a half step and back up a half step. Our middle note goes up a whole step, back down a whole step, back up a whole step, and back down a whole step. Our top note goes up a half step, down a half step, stays the same, stays the same. So really, all you got to figure out is this motion and this motion. Everything else is returning to where you were, because this chord is that chord and this chord is that chord. So if you can figure out the two movements and find your way back, you're set. So in A minor, man, I'm having an issue today. Running over my chords. All right, so in A minor, my bottom note stays the same, my middle note goes up a whole step, and my top note moves up a half step. And back. Now my bottom note moves down a half step, my middle note goes up a whole step, and my top stays the same. And back. So this is exactly the same, except for where we had half steps, we now have whole steps, and where we have whole steps, we now have half steps from the major. I don't know if that makes sense. Because we did it in major. My middle note moves up a half step, my top note moves up a whole step, and back. My bottom one moves down a half step, my middle one moves up a half step, my top one stays the same, and back. Now, my middle note moves up a whole step, my top moves up a half step, and back. My bottom note moves down a half step, my top note moves up a whole step, and back. So it's quite similar. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Let's try it in a different key. Let's try it in G minor. Middle note goes up a whole step. Top note moves up a half step. Bottom note stays the same. And back. Bottom note moves down a half step. Middle note moves up a whole step, excuse me. And back. So it doesn't matter what key you're doing it in, it's going to follow the same formula. Questions?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Good. Other things you'd like me to go over today?
I think really, if anything, I want to get to some more sight reading.
Yeah.
I feel all right on it, but it's one of those things that you don't really know until you do it, right?
Right. Right. So, let me find my book.
However, also, I'm not 100% ready to, play at the moment because I'm still trying to get over my new gear and get everything situated. So, currently I have everything routed to my headphones. So, it'll take me probably the rest of today to figure out.
Well, let's just plan on doing sight reading tomorrow then.
Sure.
But we could look at an example.
Yeah.
Let's go to page 100. Let's see. Let's look at 7-10. Oh, we don't want to do 7-10. I don't like that one either. Let's go. Come on. Okay, let's look at 7-29. Piece by Alex Rowley. What can you tell me? Let's do the initial read through, the initial scanning for details on this piece. What do you notice?
We start start and end on an A.
Good.
So
Are we in
it's
A minor?
Yeah, looks like it.
What's going to be some supporting evidence that we are?
The chords that we have are ACE, which is the tonic, and then we have A, DE, which is a. Is that? I was gonna say that's maybe a sus chord. I think a sus4.
In the left?
Yeah, on the left hand.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then it's back to the tonic. More of that same chord. That doesn't. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's just what we're doing for a lot of the piece. And then later we have in measure 8 we have that sharped note, the sharp 7.
Yeah.
So
that would reinforce the idea that we were in minor.
Yeah.
That sharp 7 gives us the raised leading tone, which we need to not be in natural, but that we could be in harmonic minor.
Mm-hmm.
However, we also get what?
I suppose the 5-finger pattern.
We do have a lot of 5-finger patterns.
In the left hand. Mm-hmm.
But particularly with that 5-finger pattern, we have an F sharp in measure 9. What business does that F sharp have in minor?
Oh, it turns it into melodic minor.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And only when it's ascending as well. It looks like. Because when the
we
piece
don't get as high as scale degree 7 when we're descending.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. We do get scale degree 6 lowered coming down on 22. Good.
Yeah.
18.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in A melodic minor. All right. Finger numbers. They're all over the place because we keep changing hand positions, right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're watching this on the video, I want you to pause the video, shadow play it, and then play it. We're just about out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and play it just for the video to make sure that you hear how it goes. But don't listen to this and don't remember it. You can truly sight read it.
Yeah.
All right. It got a little tricky
Mm-hmm.
when I went from 26 to 27 to 28. There's really no break.
Mm-hmm.
You're used to having 3 in a row and then kind of a break. And it changes. And it goes 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm. There's also that new kind of hand position chord thing as well
Yeah.
at 26 and 27.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay,
Cool.
I will plan on seeing you all tomorrow, and we'll do some sight reading in breakout rooms.
Awesome.
Okay, see you.